But I have been wanting to do something like this and explore something like this for years now, because so many people love anime and want to learn about Japan, or even learned or inspired to learn Japanese because of anime. And so I really felt like there was a program in here, or even a more extended class in here. So I'm very, very grateful to Junko and all the work she's put into planning for this. And I hope that this is just the first step and that it will really lead to some longer term programs for Japan America Society. And I did want to say a quick hello to two of my colleagues. I'm not sure if they're here yet, but the executive directors of Japan America Society in Dallas and in Iowa were both planning to join us tonight. I think they're not here yet, but I'm just grateful for all of the support of all of you, and I'm excited to for me to learn tonight. So thank you, Junko. Take it away.
Take it away. Right. Very good. Very good. Okay. So I will be running this program with Indy. And Indy, do you want to unmute yourself and we'll get started. So before we start all this learning stuff, we're going to have fun. So do you have a phone with you? Okay. This is called Kahoot. It's a game, educational game app, and you don't have to download anything. I will share the screen now. So in the browser on your phone, you type in kahoot.it, and you should be able to come up with the game screen where it asks the game pin. And then once you do, you put this 3258431 number in it. And this is just a little quiz kind of game. During the pandemic, the school teachers, they use this to entertain and teach at the same time on the screen. And that's how a lot of high school, middle school kids did in the pandemic, I heard. And so we'll be doing this a little bit. You don't have to. It's just for fun. And this is a little trivia quiz for the film of Spirited Away. So there we go. Everybody knows how to do this.
Kahoot, Atticus.
What is it? Okay. Is everyone in? And as soon as everybody is in, I'm going to start. So Indy's gonna read the question, and the question is not on your phone. So you have to look at the screen for the question and the answer. The answer keys are colored. So red, blue, green, and yellow, I thought. So you just pick the color and answer it. Okay? It really does keep up with the time that you answer, and it gives 3 people on top will be on the podium at the end. So are you ready? I think everyone's in. So we're gonna start here. Okay, animated Japan quiz. All right, first question. Okay, Indy, go ahead.
What year was the film Spirited Away released?
Okay, you only have 30 seconds to answer. The hint was on the flyer on the homepage. JSC. All right, 21 people. Whoa, everyone's fast. Okay, the answer is 2001. And one of the reasons that we picked this Spirited Away to this event was because it is a 20th anniversary. All right, okay. So next question. Oh, here's the scores. Ooh, Claudine, you're on the second. Wow. Wonder why. All right.
Spirited Away won the Best Animated Feature Film in 2003. Which award shows was it?
Ooh. Okay, 50 seconds left. This was tough one, huh? It was an Oscar. And Miyazaki did not come to this Oscar event, award event, because there was some reason he had, and he didn't want to tell everyone, but he did not come. All right, I'll talk about that a little later. And these questions actually had something to do with what I'm presenting today. So later on. Okay, here we go. Next one.
This is the main character of Spirited Away. What is her full name?
Full name. Oh, okay, 6 cells. This one is 20 seconds question, so quick. There you go. Yes, Ogi no Chihiro. Ogi no Chihiro. A name has a big part of this event, this film. Name has a significant meaning in this film, so I will also talk about that later. All right, here we go again. Oh, Dean, you're the top yet. Oh, Jessica, you are the second. All right. Okay.
This is one of the spirit, Okusare-sama, who came to the bathhouse. What kind of spirit is it?
This was a very powerful scene that you could almost smell, you know. All right. The answer is river. Yes, it is a river spirit. And I will talk about this spirit concept later too. Okay. In the film, this bathhouse is filled with the spirit, and it's also spirit. That's why it's called the Spirited Away. All right. Okay. Well, everybody's close.
The architecture of the bathhouse in this film, that architecture in this bathhouse in this film was inspired by real locations in Japan. True or false?
This one is a true or false. Oh, okay. Yes, most people. Yeah, true. Not only one location, there were multiple places that Miyazaki mentioned. He did not say one particular one. So I will see some of that at the end of the presentation as well. Okay, here we go. Last one.
Kawaii culture has been deeply connected with Japanese spirits and aesthetics for ages. What does kawaii mean?
Does anybody know what kawaii? You know, Japanese people say, kawaii, all the time, all the time.
You always hear it in anime too.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, that's true. Very true. Okay, it means cute or adorable. Yep. So kawaii culture is not only from anime and manga, but also in everyday life. You will see these mascots from every prefecture, even government uses it, school use it. It's just a deeply involved in Japanese culture. Talan, okay, so D&D, DNN, and Zip. Oh no, Jim is second, and then Zip, you're the third. Oh, I didn't do the sound. There's a sound. There. Okay. Okay. So I hope you had fun of this one a little bit. Okay. All right. So now it's our true animated Japan presentation. Okay. Jessica, can you share the screen? We're going to start with a little question and answer with me and Indy. Okay, Animated Japan. So we're examining Japanese language and culture through this film today. Okay, next, please.
Sorry, Junko, hold on one second. I'll get it
Yeah.
to move.
Okay,
Not cooperating with me.
it's no problem. Did everybody watch this film? Yeah? Oh, yeah? Yeah. Okay, good, good. Okay, before we go really into the film itself, we're going to talk a little bit about this anime with the language learning. Okay, Indy, go ahead. You have a question.
So is it really possible to learn Japanese through anime?
Okay, so I'm Japanese and I didn't learn Japanese from anime, but I'm teaching Japanese, and so, since there's so many people are interested in anime, I would say it is possible. With
Mhm.
a little note, a little note.
Yes.
Definitely, I think plenty of work and is necessary to learn the language, and so you cannot just depend on just anime.
Mhm.
What do you think, Indy?
I think that's also, I agree. I agree with you, Junko.
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely a good resource, and it's also great motivation
Mm-hmm.
to want
Yeah.
to learn Japanese through anime.
Right, right. And then one reason that I'm saying that this cannot be solo resource is one is because Japanese language is a very honorific language. It
Yes.
has many level of politeness.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
definitely anime uses more of a casual to little what slangish words and
Yeah.
phrases. So that's one of the reason. What else can you think of that one of the pitfall or something that you need to be careful with when you're learning from anime?
I think the point you mentioned is a really like a really big glaring point, but I also feel like uh sort of relationships to people and how like people actually act with each other when speaking with each other
Okay.
is definitely important, and sometimes that's not it's anime is a little more exaggerated with what with what happens, so you can definitely get something wrong if you just rely solely on Japanese, because language isn't just learning the language, but it's also learning like the body language and the face expressions and things like that.
Oh
And it's
yeah,
something in anime really
yeah,
exaggerates.
yeah. You don't want to make that such a big motion to talk. Japanese are very kind of, they don't use a lot of hand gesture like American does, and yeah, those
Yeah.
kind of things you can get a little bit too exaggerated by anime.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's a good, very, very good point. All right, Jessica, can you do the next one?
How to avoid common pitfalls when learning Japanese with anime.
Yeah, just to start to talk about this. One of the things, actually 2 points I want to make on this one is that if you are going to use anime from beginning as a no a beginner Japanese learner, then you definitely have to make sure that the what situation and what kind of language or they are talking and using those words. And the second one is I really recommend to start after you reach the intermediate level of Japanese. By then, you should know what the polite words are and the basics. So you know the difference between slang and then the real polite language. So a lot of people do recommend to start after you using anime to learn after you reach the uh, intermediate level. So that's one or two points that I can make about that. What do you think, Indy?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mhm,
I think it's really important to supplement because when you're watching anime, it's more about listening.
mhm.
So it's really important to supplement that with, and you know, voice actors are voice actors. They're native speakers, but it's not something. It's not like what you would hear like normally. So it's
Mhm,
important to supplement it with listening to other forms of things of content as well, like
mhm,
news or
mhm. Right.
reality shows too. Those are good.
So
Um,
when did you start using anime, or did you ever um, use anime to learn Japanese? I know you've been studying quite a while.
yeah, I use anime, yes, but um, it's not like the pinnacle of my studies. I think that's
Mhm,
important to note too.
mhm.
Even if you love anime like I do, it's really important not to use anime as like the pinnacle of your studies.
More
You need
like a
more,
supplemental.
yes, it's more like a
Uh-huh.
supplemental
Mhm,
thing. So I use like flashcards.
mhm.
I use textbooks and yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's I think fair to say. You do you love this anime, so then why not use it? But not
Yeah.
only that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
It's like
right.
dessert.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jessica, next slide, please. Okay. Well, we actually talked about this already, but
Why should we learn Japanese with anime?
okay. So one point that I want to make is listening, like Indy said. It is slangy, it is a little casual, but it's still a Japanese. So even it's fast, even it's a little um, not so polite, it is still a Japanese that you can get used to. So I think it's good to use it for listening point. And another thing is you learn the culture through anime, not just the language, but I'm going to talk about that today, about the culture behind the scenes, behind the stories. So that's another reason that I think anime is good for learning Japanese. And another one is, when you think of anime, some people think one category of anime, but that's not true. There are many different categories of animes, from Ghibli to love romance to science fiction. So anime is for everybody. I think even I was never being brought up as an anime person. Even not a lot of my friend wasn't into anime at all. So, but I did watch some of the, like a Ghibli was one of my favorite. So I watched it with my friends and my kids. So I think there are variety of anime out there that you can resources from. Indeed, are there anything else you have to add? Why we should learn Japanese with anime?
Yeah. I think you make really great points. Um, I you're gonna talk about this later, but like
Uh-huh.
it's super important. I think it makes it even better when you understand Japanese when you watch anime because there are some things that don't quite translate to English
Mm.
and so they lose their magic.
Yeah, the magic. Yes, that's true. Yeah, I will show you a little bit of magic later on. So
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. Yeah. All right. Then last thing is not just listening or watching. I recommend these books. all the anime, I can't say all, but many anime come up with these picture book. I love picture books, and I have both actually, English and Japanese. And I would recommend to find these picture books. One, first of all, you can practice reading, right? And second, you can go back to the scene page by page and pull out the words that you are kind of wondered what was that? Because anime you run through, so you really can't just stop unless you pause it every second. But the book you can go back to it. So you can implement this book to your study along with animation. I truly enjoy these picture books. All right, and next slide, please.
So what are we learning today?
Yay, so we're finally here. Okay, we're learning today some of the words, phrase, kanji, and cultural background from this film, Spirited Away. All right, so I'm gonna take it away from here. Okay, Jessica, next one, please. Okay, and during this lesson, not lesson, presentation, if you have a question, please write it into the chat box, or you can unmute and ask me as well. I don't want this to be my 40 minutes speaking. I want to interact with you and answer some of the questions that you have from each page. All right. And you will be actually learning the phrase. So, okay, Jessica, can you go back one? Yeah, there we go. All right, we're gonna start with Chihiro. Okay, Chihiro is her real name. Okay, we'll talk about the name later. In the beginning, she says this: お父さん、お母さん、もう帰ろう。お父さん、お母さん、もう帰ろう。Okay, this is where she wanted to go back to the car. You know, the parents were start going into the town, deeper in town, and she was afraid. And she actually repeats this phrase a lot. And お父さん、お母さん, maybe you've heard this word. Okay, these are used for other people's parents or when you are calling your parents. So like this case, お父さん、お母さん, that's how they call them. Or when you're to other people, to their mom. Now also when you look up on dictionary, chichi and haha is also father and mother. But these are used respectively when you are talking to other people about your parents, and especially to people who are older than you or above you. Okay, so that's when chichi and haha is used. Okay, Jessica, can you move a little bit up the slide for the next part? Or does everybody see
You mean go to the next slide or actually move it
No.
up?
You probably have to zoom out a little on the slide.
See if I can get this. Let's
Yeah.
see.
The bottom's cut off.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get out of.
I
Is
can
it-
see it all.
Can you see it?
Let's see.
I could see it all before.
Let me see if this does it. There we go. Can you see it all?
I
Or
can.
is it-
You can? Everybody can? Okay, that's good. All right. And the next part is kairo, the word kairo. Okay. Again, this is depends on who you are talking to. Kairo, this case, is a very casual way to say go back. Okay. There's another way, and especially the beginners, they don't learn this casual form. Rather, they learn the formal form in the beginning of learning Japanese, and that is that is 帰りましょう. Maybe you heard that 帰りましょう. Okay? So that's a little more formal than 帰ろう. So every culture has a different standard for being polite, and Japanese is no different, and it may be even more so. So when you're talking to people, you have to really know which level you are talking, or depending on the relationship you have with that person. So this one, mom and dad is the person she's talking to. So casual form kairo is fine. If she was talking to maybe Yubaba later, that will not be appropriate. Kaerimashou will be better in that situation. Okay? All right. Take a note when you want to actually learn these words. Yeah. Maybe we'll have a test at the end. Oh, I'm kidding. Okay. All right, Jessica, next one, please. All right, next one is Haku, my favorite character in this whole um, movie. But okay, 私は千尋の味方だよ. 私は千尋の味方だよ. Okay, 私 as I, 千尋 is her, and 味方だよ, that's where I want to kind of point out today. Okay, in English, it's simply said, I'm your friend. Okay, that's where the translation is a little lost. Okay, the word mikata is not really just a friend. It can be a friend, but it means that one person, that person who is on the same side when there's a two groups or three groups or how many ever that there are, and it's like opposite of enemy. So here the haku says I'm mikata da yo means I'm your side, so don't worry, I will help you, and that kind of meaning. Okay, so in the anime, this language barrier that the English does not actually have the word is a lot time lost in translation. So this is one of the things that you can use, and it can be used lightly between the friends. You know, simply just say "mikata da yo" as your friend. But if there was a serious problem between the group, and you're saying, "I'm on your side, I have your shoulder," type of thing, you can use it that way too.
Junko,
And-
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I would think of like the translation that I would think of for Mikata would be ally.
Mhm.
But what does that first kanji mean? Because here you can see the kanji for Mikata. So what does
Yeah.
that first kanji
So
mean?
that's a taste. That's a flavor.
Oh, like a aji.
Aji. Yeah.
Oh.
So
Huh.
I don't know exactly why it's aji, but and then mikata is a direction. So tasty direction.
I think it's supposed to be like a favored direction,
Ah.
ally. So like it's to your taste. So it's
Mhm,
your
mhm.
palate.
Right. So that's what that mikata is. And then you can look at those kanji to actually deep into the language as well. I'll talk about that in a minute too.
Did you see the question, Junko?
Mm-mm.
Should you always talk to someone using formal wording if you don't know them?
Yes, definitely.
I would say yes also.
Yes.
Always better to make a mistake in that direction.
Mhm.
I have a friend
Then,
who made the mistake in the other
Other
direction,
direction.
and it was one of the funniest. I mean, we laugh about it now, but it was not so funny at the time.
Exactly. Yes. So I would say if you don't know them, you go formal. That's the very good indication of what to use. Okay, good. And then also another thing about this line, that yo, you hear this yo and ne and na and da and those words at the end of the sentence. And those actually doesn't have much meaning. It just to give a different flavor, different nuance to the line. And then usually they are used in casual conversation, not the formal. So there's a lot of different version of those yo and da, but that's what those are that you will see. Okay, the next slide, please. Yeah, please give me a question and during I'm speaking because I'll forget what was in at the end. Okay, now this is a Yubaba. Yubaba says, 今からお前の名前は千だ。今からお前の名前は千だ。Okay, 今から it means from now. And お前の名前 Okay, お前 is translated you, but this is what I need to talk about today. There are many words to say you in Japanese, unlike English. So you really have to be careful with using these words. Omae is rather very rough and aggressive way and often used by men. Okay?
This is the word my friend used
oh,
to her boss.
oh no.
Oh, it was
Yes.
terrible.
That's the kind of situation exactly happens.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. I mean, it
What?
wasn't, but it was.
Yeah. One good thing, you all have a foreigner's pass, which means that Japanese people are very generous to the people who are not native Japanese about the language. Okay, so even you make mistake, even in the boss in that case.
He laughed very, very hard, like so hard he could hardly speak. But she was so embarrassed.
Embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that's something I talked about earlier. You have to know when to use what. Okay. And here are some example of the you. Okay. Anata. Now you hear this a lot. That's what you learn in a textbook. Okay. And kimi, omae. This is exactly that. And teme, and kisama. Oh, those are only for the anime. I've never used this teme and kisama. If I said that, my father will be stamping on my head. So I can't ever use that. But so that's the different kind of language that you will learn as you see the anime. These will not come up in your textbook. Okay? Japanese real the course book, they will never have any of these teme and kisama.
So is teme and kisama, are they on the rude side? Like, I don't think I've ever heard those. I've
Mhm.
definitely heard kimi and I've heard omaya. Like
Mhm.
omaya is a little
Mhm.
bit rude. Kimi
Yeah.
is just like boys tend to use it.
Yeah.
But I've never heard teme and kisama.
But you will see this in the anime
Is
and
it-
manga.
Is it rude? Is it
Very rude,
Okay.
very aggressive, rude.
You'll see it a
So-
lot when they're talking to like villains.
Oh.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah. So that's why you have to be a little careful with the manga and anime, like we're talking about.
And then another question, when do you use kimi?
Okay, kimi is something that in a situation like a boss or the teacher using it to the peers or the people who works out for you to be a little more intimidating and a little bit more formal than the omae. Yeah. So omae and kimi can be both from the higher level to lower level, but kimi is a little more formal than the omae. Okay. So all these different levels, when you go into the study it very deep, that's when you start seeing this kind of thing. All right, so next one is a, I, U, E, O. I wrote it down the vowel sound. Okay, for example, the word namae, can you say it? Everybody, the English speaker has a hard time saying this first time because look at, except N and M, it's a vowel sound. Japanese words has a lot of vowel sound, and it's only single vowel sound. So a, I, U, E, O. That's all the sound of vowel. There's no variety in each. Okay, so rather easier for learners because there's only 5 to remember. Huh? So for example, the good practice is this namae. I hear a lot name, but that is not the way. Okay, namae. You have to say each vowel sound. Okay, so that's this take from this phrase in words. All right, let's go to the next one. Last one, I think, for the phrase. Okay. お世話になりました。お世話になりました。Okay, it says thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. Okay, like many words, there are no good translation for this. And this can be used in many situations. But breaking down some words, 世話 means looking after. And 世話になる means to receive the favor, to receive the care. Okay, so なりました as a past tense, they gave you a lot of attention and care. So you're thanking them, you're appreciating their support. And so that's why you can say お世話になりました as a past tense afterwards. Another one at the exactly same words, お世話になります as a present tense is used in many, many cases, like even in a business. In beginning of the email, everybody writes お世話になります. We haven't started, but I'm intended to work with you, and I'm appreciating your help. That's the kind of intention to this word. Right? In the movie, Chihiro said this really at the end to Yubaba, who gave her the hard time. And so that's where I like the idea of this learning the language and culture from anime. Even though she was given a lot of hard time from her, at the end, she leaves with this word, お世話になりました to Yubaba. So that's another thing. The culture of Japan, being polite, no matter what's happened in the past, being polite is the right way to do it. Don't leave grid. And I think maybe I'm taking it too far, but I like the way it ended, and then this word, お世話になりました.
I loved that. That was so Japanese.
Uh-huh.
When she said this word, I actually laughed out loud because I was like,
Mhm.
wow, that's what she says. And
So
just
this
if you work
film-
at a Japanese company, this is the first thing you're going to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then this shows her growth. This film talks about her growth from the beginning to the end. In the beginning, she didn't know what to do, and at the end, she leaves with this word being appreciated. That's the point out to it. Okay, next, please. Okay, are you ready for kanji? And I picked the difficult kanji. Okay, this kanji is you, just a you. Okay, the reason I picked this one is because there's so many words come with this kanji. Okay, kanji can be combination with other words or other characters, right? To mean something else. You, the concept is warm water or hot water, not water that's cold. I don't think there is a word in English. Are there? Warm water or hot water. When somebody say you, it's not cold. So this you is used in OU. That's the first one on the bottom. OU. That's simply saying warm water with O as a polite O, formal O. Next one is yuge, yuge. So warm water, and ki or ye, the next character, that is a steam or spirit or power. This ki can be used in many different situations or in words. And so yuge is a steam, okay? Warm water with the air or spirit or power is a steam, yuge. And next word, yuya, yuya. This means bath or bathhouse. And this words come up a lot in this film as a yuya, as a bathhouse. And ya, you will hear this a lot. Honya, honya is a bookstore. Kusuriya is drugstore. Nikuya will be butcher. Panya will be bakery. And on and on. This ya means actually a roof. So something with a roof, like a book roof, will be bookstore. So this ya will also be used a lot in stores and facilities. Okay, so that's the yu ya. And yuna, I actually don't hear this a lot, but it's in this movie. A person, and that this kanji, next kanji, is a woman. So actually, this is a person who take care of this guest that comes to the bathhouse. They call them yuna, yuna. Okay, and next one is not really a word; it's a character, yubaba, the nasty big head looking obasan, the grandma, witch. Okay? Her name is yubaba, and what means is that hot water. Baba is an older person, woman. It has to be woman. So that's what her name means. Hot water grandma. Okay, the last one, you don't know. You don't know. That's a bathhouse inside each section of the bathhouse. They have different section for different type of oil. So that's called you don't know. All right. Now,
So can I ask a quick question? So we have the word yuya here, right? So what's the difference between yuya and then you hear sento all the time?
Yeah.
So what's
That's
the technical difference?
Yeah, so sento is a public bath in Japan, and yuya is a public bath. This word was kind of old. Now people don't say yuya mostly; they say sento. Okay, but this go back in a history. So they used to call yuya for the like a place like a what is it called? I forgot the name of it. But anyway, this yuya is a little old way to say sento.
So is it just kind of the natural evolution of language? You know how language changes from generation to generation. So it's just that we're just sort of seeing that happen. Okay.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay, next one, please. Okay, so kanji. Do you want to try to write this one? I put it from number 1. Okay, I have an arrow going. So 1, 2, oops, yeah, and 3 going upwards, and 4, 5 as this one is connected, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I see people taking picture. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, you can write this by following this order, and stroke order in Japanese kanji is very strict. You learn it very strictly at school, and it doesn't make sense actually. How it's written is the best way the kanji to form pretty.
I think it has a lot to do with calligraphy, doesn't it? And the
Yes.
flow of the pen.
Exactly. Yes. Mhm.
And it has always amazed me if I did it in the wrong order. A Japanese person always knows.
Yeah,
How
because
could they
we
know?
are-
They didn't see me do it. They just saw the finished product and they still know I wrote it in the wrong order.
Yeah, we can tell. Not every time, but we can pretty much tell.
Yeah.
And if you went up or down, we can tell. Yeah. So we are pounded in this not just learning the language, how to read it and the meaning, but we are learning this, pounded into our head as a child. This kanji is a brain maker for Japanese.
I think something really interesting about the stroke order of kanji is there is rhyme and reason to it, right? So there's a certain flow to every kanji the way you
right.
write it. There's kind
Yeah.
of like
So like a calligraphy, like Claudine said, when you see, this is more of a computer kind of, written font. But if you see calligraphy with like a connected, and then it makes sense, and the flow changes if you change that stroke order. So it does have a lot to do with that.
And then the other thing I always loved about the stroke order and stroke count was that was the way I would look up kanji in my
Right.
kanji book, was I would write it and I would know how many strokes there was to a kanji. And then I would go to the page that had 12 stroke kanji characters or whatever and look it up that way. And that was just such a fascinating way to utilize a dictionary coming from the Western world.
Yeah.
It is, and learning the roots. It's amazing how after so
right.
many years of studying, now even I know how to look at
And
the stroke order. So
Indy just share the site in a chat box, how to look up, and a good resource for this. Thank you, Indy, doing that. Okay, all right, let's move on. We have a few more things to cover here. Jessica, please. Okay, so the culture part of it is I want to talk now. Okay, first thing is a name. Okay, Japanese person's personal name. I'm talking about personal name here. Okay, usually written in kanji, and often choose so that the stroke count of the kanji in the name will be a fortunate number for each person. I don't know if my parents did this, and I didn't do that for my kids. So I can't say everybody does it, but a lot of people actually go to the temple and then look at what's the best of stroke numbers with your last name combined or something like that. So that's another way to choose the name for Japanese people. And kanji has a lot to do with deciding on their names. And obviously, the name is a significant part of a person's identity, and Japanese as well, and maybe even more because of the kanji. I chose my kid's name dependent on the season. My first one was born in October, so I named her Harvest Come. The meaning of the name is her name is Miku, but harvest come is what I chose the kanji for. So it has a lot to do with the parents' wishes and what you want for these children. Another thing is there are more than one way to read or write the name. This Chihiro, that's her name, the character's name. And I didn't know this, but it can be read Chihiro as well. And Senjin is as well. But Senjin is something that you don't use for the name, but this kanji combination also could have been read as Senjin. Another thing is Junko. My name can be written in these three different ways. Mine is the first one, but each of them has a little bit of different meaning and behind it. Okay. And many people know about this. The surname comes before the first name, and the middle names are usually not given or recognized in Japan. Okay. So that's about the name. And earlier I said this, the name in this movie has a lot of significance to that film itself. Sen is what the name the witch gave it to her. Really, her name was Chihiro. By changing her name, she took her identity. That's what that film is talking about when they change the name. She takes the power or identity of a person by changing the name. And later on, the Haku, the boy, helped the Chihiro, remembers his name that was taken from the Yubaba. And that remembering the name in this movie has a lot to do with finding your identity and importance of the identity in this lost world. Uh, Ghibli movie usually has very deep message and meaning behind it, and one of them is this name and identity. I think, and I think a lot of people agree to that. The critics does. All right, let's move on to next one. Okay, kami and kami-sama. Okay, the word kami translates in English as a god, but really the concept is closer to spirit or phenomenon or holy powers. And that is originated in Shinto. Shinto's kami is not really same as like a Christianity god. It's a spirit that lives in a lot of different elements of landscape or forest, as well as mountains and water, in this case, a river. So that this film has a lot this kami concept, the Shinto concept in the film. And then you will see, okay, you will see that. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, these are the bathhouse guests who came to the bath to take. And these are actually a spirit. And some of these are very well known in Japan. Stinky spirit, really later on you'll find this was a river spirit. And this scene was actually real life experience from Miyazaki. He had a river nearby his house, and he went after it was cleaned, and he saw this bicycle sticking out, and all the dirt and stinkiness of that river was kind of included into this scene. So that's why you see the bicycle pulling out at the end, and when they were cleaning this spirit. Kasuga, this is one of the kind of god or spirit. So when you go to Japan, you can find a lot of shrine named Kasuga Taisha, Kasuga Jinja. There are like 100 of them all over Japan. So that's one of the Kasuga is a kind of god. And Onama, this one is created by Ghibli, but it really goes back to Namahage. Maybe you have heard of Namahage. Namahage is a spirit, looks like a ogre. It goes back to Akita Prefecture, it's the north of Japan. There is called the Namahage, which is a demon-looking things that frightens and lazy and what do you say, lazy kids or badly behaving kids, and then they straighten them up, get their act together. So there is a Shinto ritual that's called the Namahage ritual, and then this happens every year still. You may see it on a TV or something where these demon-like looking thing goes to each house, knock the door, and then mom and dad brings a kid, and then they say, "Are you gonna be a good boy and good girl?" And then they say, "Oh yes, I will, I will." It's a really scary event for the children. I've seen it once in real life, and yes, my kids were just screaming out of the lung. So, but these are all spirits that was coming to the guest house. Okay, I'm gonna run out of time, so I better go. Okay, next one. Okay, now last part is animated sightseeing. We did some research, then I had some help, and I found some good location when you go to Japan to maybe find out where this anime was taken place. So, okay, next one, please. Okay, Dogo Onsen in Ehime Prefecture. This is one of the oldest hot spring in Japan, and the history goes back to 1,000 years. That is amazing, I think. And even though Miyazaki said there's no one bathhouse or hot spring, that was based on this architecture on the bathhouse in the movie. But definitely the looks of it uh, give you a little hint. And he did say that inspiration were coming from a few different places that he's been to. So that's one thing. All right, next one, please. Okay, Shima Onsen in Gunma. Right, now you can see the bridge with the red railing, right? So this was one of the place that or some people think, this red bridge kind of coming from them, from this area. Yeah. So this is the real Guma spring, and this is also old. I don't quite know how old it is, but this is also very old hot spring that still exists. All right, next one. Okay, I really want to go this one now. I didn't know about this. Okay, Edo Tokyo Open Air Museum. Uh, this one is actually the one that Miyazaki said that he has gone there many, many times. And these are some of the feature that you see, the bus and inside the bus. Can you kind of see that the Chihiro and then No Face was sitting on this train going down to Zeniba's house? Yeah, and then also these shops that's lined up. That's where the town uh, where the parents, Chihiro's parents, first went and then started eating. Yeah. So there are some significant looks of old time. This museum is in Tokyo, and it goes back to Taisho or Meiji era. All these building does. So you can actually go visit and see the old time Taisho and Meiji era's building and town looks. Okay, so those are the from the Spirited Away. The next couple of them are not from the Spirited Away, but Jessica, next one. Okay, maybe you've heard this one, Ghibli Museum, Mitake. It's offside of Tokyo. It is still in Tokyo, but it's a little far from downtown Tokyo. But this is the Ghibli museum that's awfully popular, and it's actually really hard to get the tickets. So if you are planning to get the tickets, plan ahead. You probably can't get the tickets once you get there. You have to probably contact them. They are limiting the ticket sales to limited companies. So you can't get it from everybody. I think it was a Lawson, the convenience store, is the only one that's allowed to sell among all the other tickets places. So you got to find that information before you go. All right, so this is the Ghibli Museum. And next one is Satsuki and Mei's house. Can anybody tell me which movie this is? Satsuki and Mei was a character that was in
Is this Totoro?
Totoro. Yes, that's the girl's house, and this exists. This one is actually made after the movie was made, so it exactly looks like and how it's located and feels like. Even the bucket with the hole on the bottom is there. I actually went this one. This is in Aichi Prefecture, in middle of nowhere. Expo. It was an expo site that they afterwards used this land to put this Satsuki's and Maid's house.
Can you go inside the house?
Yes, you can.
Ah,
And you cannot go upstairs because there is, oh shoot, I forgot the name of that black thing. Indy, do you remember the black charcoal thing?
It's the Makuro Kurosuke.
Makuro Kurosuke, there you go. Makuro Kurosuke live in an annex. It's a sign says because they are there, you can't go in. My kids really wanted to go up. Anyway, so go visit. It'll take you to the whole Totoro world.
wow.
They're also called Susuwatari.
Susuwatari, yes, that's right, that's right. Yeah, yeah. I love that one. Okay, last one. Okay, last one. This is the International Manga Museum in Kyoto. Okay, when you go there, obviously you can read as many manga as you want. And there is a cafe, it's on the right corner. And also there is a theater. This is the Kamishibai Theater. They actually read Kamishibai to you at that location. So this isn't just another place that you anime fan, people who is interested in anime or manga may have a great time with. Okay, there are other places like Ghibli clock outside the Nittere Tower in Tokyo. Have you ever seen that? There is a clock uh, outside of this Nittere Tower in Tokyo. I haven't seen it, but I think it's, what do you call those clock that comes out every hour?
A cuckoo clock.
Cuckoo clock, yes, made with this Ghibli theme is there. And also Akihabara and Nakona Broadway are two major places where you can find anime related to goods, to merchandise and cafe and all that.
Junko, can you briefly explain, just for people who don't know, the difference between manga and anime?
So I think it's different in America. When you say anime in Japan, it's not the only Japanese anime. It's all the animation is anime in Japan. But I think in other outside of Japan, anime is a Japanese animation.
Yes,
Right?
I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then manga is not animation. Manga is a book. So manga is usually book style that you have series of the books follows one to the other. I think that's the difference. All right. Are there any questions? I haven't looked at the chat box yet.
I think we're caught up on the chat questions. Does
Okay.
anyone have any questions they want to just kind of yell out?
Yeah, you can even unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want me to stop the screen share
Yeah,
so we can all
yeah,
see
I think
everybody?
we're good with
Okay.
that. Okay, if you have any questions, this might be a good time to ask. If you enjoyed, please give us a thumbs up, or if you want the next one, I will try to put together something else with a different film or something like that, if everybody enjoyed this.
We will send out a survey too, because we really would love to get some feedback. on how this was and what you liked and what you maybe would like to see. We'd really like to expand this idea.
There was one question that that was up in the chat, and it was someone, Martha was asking what the significance is of the bridges that are red. You always see, you know,
Oh, I missed that.
beautiful bridges that are bright
Mhm.
red. Is there any significance to that particular color?
I think when you think of red with that, is a tori. Shrine, gate, usually are red. So shrine is, I think that has a similar significance with the color. And other than that, I'm not quite sure why, but you see this red bridge, red tori as a part of a shrine color. Good question. Yeah. All right. I think the time is here or even past. So if you have any more questions or requests, please give us a review and we'll try to get back to you when we can.
Good job, Ryan, using
You
what
got
we
it.
learned
You got
today.
it. Let's do it. Natty Mustard for Ryan.
Good job. Good job.
Perfect.
Didn't use that, so.
Nice. Yes. Yes. Good. Good. All right. I like all the comments. Looks like everybody enjoyed.
Thank you all so much for coming in. Thank you, Junko. This was really fantastic. Great job.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Indy. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you, Indy.
help.
Thank you, Jessica. See you all soon.